Single mom Lucy is getting ready for a quiet night at home when a phone call from her son's teacher sends her running out the door. Her son is missing, and nothing will stop Lucy from finding him. That night, everything seemed calm and peaceful in Lucy's house. A single mother, she had just finished her daily chores and finally allowed herself to relax a bit. The night was cold. The silence of the empty house was almost comforting, and she couldn't wait to curl up on the couch with a glass of red wine and watch a comedy movie. But that peace was about to be shattered by a life-changing phone call. Lucy finished ironing the clothes of Patrick, her 9-year-old son, who was on a camping school trip. After folding the last piece of clothing, she poured herself a generous glass of wine, sank into the sofa and began browsing the TV channels, looking for a movie to distract her mind. Suddenly, the phone rang. On the display, the name of Mr. Randall, Patrick's teacher, flashed insistently. Lucy's heart jumped, and a sense of apprehension washed over her. Answering the phone, his voice was calm, but his mind was already preparing for the worst. "Hello, Mr. Randall. Is everything okay?" On the other end of the line, the teacher's voice was shaky, marked by a tension that Lucy could not ignore. "Miss Helena Sanchez. Stevens, I'm sorry, but Patrick is lost." For a moment, Lucy's world stopped. Mr. Randall's words echoed in her mind as she tried to grasp their meaning. "What do you mean he is lost? How could this happen?" "We're not sure," the professor replied, his voice now almost a whisper of despair. "The police are already searching the forest. I sent the coordinates to your cell phone." Lucy wasted no time. In the blink of an eye, she put down her phone, grabbed a hiking backpack, and ran out the door. Her mind swirled in a whirlwind of thought as she drove toward the camp, a remote and densely forested area. The image of Patrick, alone and frightened, getting lost in the woods, was etched in his mind. On arriving at the camp, she was greeted by Mr. Randall, whose downcast countenance only added to the urgency of the situation. "When did you notice Patrick was missing?" she asked, trying to stay calm. "We went for a walk this morning," he began, trying to explain. "He was with us at lunch, but he was gone by the time we got back." Lucy felt a mixture of anger and despair. Surely one of Patrick's colleagues noticed that he walked away. "Weren't you using the buddy system?" The teacher sighed, running his hand over his face. "Patrick's friend injured her ankle and had to be carried most of the way. As for the others, I questioned them. I'm going to have to file a report with the school board, so I was as thorough as I could." Lucy's frustration grew. "If something happens to my son, I will demand an investigation." Mr. Randall raised his voice, defensively. "How dare you suggest that I am to blame? It's not my fault that your son decided to go out on his own." Lucy knew that arguing with him would be of no use. He was clearly more concerned with saving his career than finding Patrick. Before he could answer, a group of police officers returned from the woods, but without Patrick. "Where is my son? Why isn't he with you?" she asked, almost screaming, addressing the policeman who was leading the group. "Unfortunately, we haven't found you yet, ma'am," the policeman replied, trying to calm her down. "It's too dark to continue the search." Lucy felt an uncontrollable fury rise inside her. "But he may be injured. How can they just stop the search?" "It's not safe to go on at night, ma'am. We will resume at dawn," explained the policeman. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You can't leave him outside and go home to sleep in warm beds." "We are doing the best we can," the officer insisted. "Joining now could make things worse." Lucy, however, was not willing to wait. "I'm his mother. I will not give up. I'll find him." The police officer tried to dissuade her. "Don't go in alone, ma'am. It's dangerous, and you can get lost too." But Lucy was determined. With her hiking experience, she believed she could find Patrick. He grabbed a flashlight, food, water, a hunting knife, and a first aid kit. And with one last look at the map Patrick had insisted she take, she headed into the woods. "I'm coming, baby," she muttered to herself, determination burning in her chest. "No matter where you are, I'll find you." The darkness was oppressive, and the forest was alive with unsettling sounds. Insects chirped in the distance, but the silence was almost deafening. The broken branches under his feet made a loud noise in the stillness of the night. Suddenly, a crack of branches made her freeze. Turning her flashlight toward the sound, she saw red eyes shining back at her. Her heart raced, but she soon realized that it was just the eyes of a deer. "Control yourself," she muttered to herself, trying to calm her nerves. "I'll never find Patrick like this." She marked a tree with a carved arrow, trying to keep a trail of her path. But the darkness and uniformity of the trees made it difficult to maintain orientation. Time passed slowly, every minute seeming like an eternity. Lucy's mind was full of terrible scenarios. Patrick injured, alone, scared. But she knew she had to keep going, that she couldn't give up. Walking up a hill, she tried to use her phone to find a signal, but there was nothing. "Please work," she pleaded, but to no avail. She was really lost now. Despair and determination struggled within her. "I've got to find him," she muttered to herself, the image of Patrick always on her mind. She couldn't give up, not now. The night was advancing, and the cold was increasing. Lucy knew she had to make a decision, to keep going or wait for dawn. He decided to light a small fire to warm and protect himself. The flickering flames reminded her of a camping trip she took with Patrick 3 years ago. Suddenly, a noise broke the silence. Lucy stayed alert, trying to identify the source. He illuminated the darkness with his flashlight, but saw nothing but shadows. His mind, already overloaded, began to play tricks. The noise repeated itself, and then she saw it. Bright yellow eyes, a cougar watching her. Fear took over, but she knew she couldn't let herself be dominated. Picking up a burning branch, she tried to drive the animal away. "Get out of here. Go." The cougar retreated, but did not give up. Lucy realized that he was hungry or sick. She needed the knife, but when she turned to grab her backpack, the cougar attacked. Reacting quickly, Lucy brandished the burning branch and ran, ignoring the rule of never running away from a cougar. The chase was frantic, branches tearing through his clothes and adrenaline pulsing through his veins. Stumbling into a ravine, she fell and hit her head, knocking her unconscious. When he woke up, the pain and disorientation were intense, but he saw a blue glove and saw smoke in the distance. Hope was reborn. With difficulty, he followed the smoke to a hut. "Hello? Is there anyone there?" she cried, her voice trembling with hope and despair. Upon entering the hut, a small figure appeared in the shadows. "Mom." Patrick's voice was music to his ears. Lucy fell to her knees, tears of relief streaming down her face. "Patrick, my love, are you okay?" They embraced, and in that moment, all of Lucy's fears were dispelled. She had found her son. They were safe. The reunion was a testament to a mother's unwavering strength. Lucy knew the challenges weren't over, but in that moment, all that mattered was that they were back together. And together, they would face anything. As the first rays of sunlight began to penetrate the dense foliage of the forest, Lucy and Patrick were still embracing each other on the floor of the cabin. The relief of the reunion still pulsated in their hearts, but they knew they were still far from safe. The fatigue and pain of the previous night's events began to make themselves felt, but Lucy's determination to protect her son was unwavering. Lucy looked around the cabin, a simple but solid structure made of aged wood. The walls were covered with moss, and the rammed earth floor had footprints that indicated that it was used frequently. In the corner was a small fireplace with some embers still burning, and a shabby blanket was spread out over an old rocking chair. Next to the fireplace, a pile of firewood suggested that whoever owned the cabin was not far away. Patrick, still clinging to his mother, looked at her with eyes full of wonder and concern. "Mom, are you hurt?" Lucy tried to smile, though the pain of her fall still bothered her. "I'm going to be fine, my love. I'm just glad I found you. But we need to get out of here and go home." Patrick agreed, but before they could make any move, the door to the cabin slowly opened, creaking on the rusty hinges. A tall, stout man with a gray beard and gentle eyes entered. He was dressed in worn-out leather clothes and carried a hatchet hanging from his belt. At the sight of Lucy and Patrick, her eyes widened in surprise. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" The man's voice was firm but not hostile. Lucy stood up slowly, pulling Patrick close to her. "My name is Lucy Stevens, and this is my son Patrick. He got lost during a school trip, and I came looking for him. We found this cabin in and..." His voice cracked, but the determination in his gaze was clear. The man looked at both of them, assessing the situation. "My name is John Carter. I've lived here in the forest for years. I saw the smoke from your campfire last night and figured someone might be in trouble." He stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You don't have to be afraid. I'm here to help." Lucy relaxed a little, but remained alert. "We need to find a way out of the forest. The road back is difficult and there's a cougar prowling the area." John agreed gravely. "Yes, I know. I've seen him around here a few times. He's hungry, and that makes him dangerous. But I know this forest like the back of my hand. I can help them get out of here safely." Patrick looked at John curiously. "Do you live here alone? Aren't you afraid of animals?" John smiled, his wrinkles deepening. "I live alone, yes, and I respect animals, but I know how to deal with them. This forest is my home, and I have learned to adapt to it." Lucy felt a surge of gratitude and hope. "If you can guide us back, I will be forever grateful." John took a rudimentary map from a shelf and began to trace a route with his finger. "First, we need to avoid the cougar's territory. We will follow the river to a point where the forest opens up. From there, it will be easier to find your way back." Lucy and Patrick prepared for the journey by stocking up on the supplies John offered them. John insisted on giving them some dried fruit, salted meat, and a bottle of fresh water. "They're going to need energy for the hike," he said, handing them a hiking pole and a small handheld flashlight. As they made their way down the trail, the forest seemed less threatening with John by his side. He pointed out plants and animals, sharing his vast knowledge of wildlife. Patrick, despite his tiredness, was fascinated, asking incessant questions that John answered with patience and humor. "How do you know so much about the forest, John?" asked Patrick, his eyes shining with interest. John smiled, looking at the boy. "I grew up in the mountains with my grandfather. He taught me everything I know. When he left, I decided to live here. The forest has given me peace and purpose." Lucy listened to the conversation with a discreet smile. John's presence was a balm to his tattered nerves. He was an imposing figure, but his gentleness and wisdom were evident. The walk was long and strenuous, but John's company made the time pass faster. At one point, Lucy began to feel the pain in her leg intensify, a result of the fall the night before. John noticed her discomfort and suggested a break. "Let's get some rest," he said, pointing to a clearing beside the river. "The water here is clean. We can fill our bottles and eat something." As they rested, John told more about his life in the woods, stories of adventures, and challenges he had faced. Patrick was amazed, and Lucy felt a growing admiration for this man who, in a way, looked like a guardian of the forest. "Do you think the cougar will follow us?" asked Patrick, biting into a piece of jerky. John shook his head. "Probably not. They are territorial, but prefer to avoid humans. We're moving away from his area, and he should stay there." The answer brought momentary relief, but Lucy knew they still had a long way to go. "We'll be able to get out of here, Patrick. Trust me," she said, stroking her son's face. After an invigorating rest, they resumed their walk. The forest began to change. The trees became less dense, and the terrain easier to traverse. The sun was high in the sky when they finally spotted a more open path, indicating that they were close to the exit of the forest. John paused, pointing to the opening between the trees. "We are almost there. From here, you should be able to find your way back more easily." Lucy looked at John with gratitude in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you. You saved our lives." John smiled, patting her on the shoulder. "The forest takes care of those who respect it. And you, Lucy, showed courage and determination. Patrick is very lucky to have a mother like you." Patrick hugged John, his little gesture full of emotion. "Thank you, John. I will never forget what he did for us." With hearts full of gratitude and a new hope, Lucy and Patrick said goodbye to John. They walked along the open path, guided by the distant sound of the road and the promise of a safe return. The journey was far from over, but they knew that with courage and determination, they could overcome any obstacle. And as they moved forward, Lucy felt a renewed strength, a conviction that no matter what they faced, together, they would always find their way back. Lucy and Patrick advanced down the open path, the sound of the road getting closer and closer. The promise of safety and the hope of being reunited with Patrick's friends filled Lucy's heart with determination. She looked at her son, holding his hand tightly, feeling relieved to be together again. As they approached the road, the silence of the forest was replaced by the distant sound of cars passing by. It was like music to Lucy's ears, a sign that they were approaching the civilized world. However, the journey was not yet complete. They needed to find a phone to call for help and inform the police of his whereabouts. Finally, they emerged from the forest and saw the road. Lucy paused for a moment, taking a deep breath and feeling the adrenaline rush through her veins. "We did it, Patrick. We're almost there." Patrick looked around, his eyes shining with excitement. "Will we find someone to help us?" Lucy shook his hand. "Yes, we will. We'll be fine." They walked along the side of the road, trying to attract the attention of any passing car. It didn't take long for a vehicle to stop. It was an old pickup truck, and the driver, a middle-aged man in a straw hat, rolled down the window and looked at them with concern. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" he asked, leaning out of the window. Lucy breathed a sigh of relief. "Yes, please. My son got lost in the woods, and I went looking for him. We need a phone to call the police." The man agreed. "Come in. I'll take you to the nearest police station." Lucy and Patrick got into the truck, thanking the man repeatedly. He introduced himself as Bill, a local farmer who was on his way to town to get supplies. As he drove, he told stories about the region, trying to ease the tension in the air. "This area can be treacherous," Bill said, "but you seem to have been through a lot. It's good to see that they are well." Lucy smiled, grateful for Bill's kindness. "We were lucky to find a man named John in the woods. He helped us a lot." Bill raised his eyebrows. "John Carter? I've heard of him. He is a good man. He has lived alone in the forest for years." Patrick, curious as ever, asked, "Why does he live there alone?" Bill shrugged. "They say he found peace there after losing his family. But he is a kind man. He always helps those in need." They arrived at the police station, where they were received by a police officer on duty. Lucy explained the whole situation, and the officer promptly sprang into action, organizing a search team to find the tour group and make sure everyone was safe. While waiting for news, Lucy and Patrick were taken to a waiting room. Lucy took Patrick's hand and smiled at him. "We're almost home, my love." Patrick agreed, but his expression was serious. "Mom, do you think the others are okay too?" Lucy stroked his hair. "I'm sure they are. The police will find them, and we will all be reunited soon." Moments later, a police officer entered the room with a smile on his face. "We have good news. We found the tour group. Everyone is fine and on their way here." The relief was palpable. Lucy and Patrick embraced, tears of happiness streaming from their eyes. Finally, the nightmare was coming to an end. A short time later, the door to the waiting room opened, and Patrick's classmates entered, accompanied by Mr. Randall, the teacher. The relief and joy of the reunion were evident. The children ran to hug Patrick, while Mr. Randall approached Lucy, clearly moved. "Miss Helena Sanchez Stevens, I don't know how to thank you. We were all very worried," he said, his voice trembling. Lucy smiled, holding Patrick's hand. "The important thing is that we are all well. This experience taught us a lot." Mr. Randall agreed, visibly relieved. "Absolutely. And I promise that we will review our safety procedures to ensure that this never happens again." As everyone chatted and shared their experiences, Lucy felt a sense of peace. Despite the challenges they faced, the determination and love of mother and son led them back home. Bill, who had stayed to make sure Lucy and Patrick were okay, smiled when he saw the reunion. "You are a strong family. It was a pleasure to help." Lucy shook his hand. "We couldn't have done it without you and John. We are eternally grateful." After a few more moments of farewell, Lucy, Patrick, and the tour group were driven back to town. The return was marked by laughter, tears, and a deep sense of gratitude. Back in the safety of their home, Lucy and Patrick embraced once again. The experience in the forest had changed them both, strengthening their bond and renewing their appreciation for life and courage. As they got ready for bed, Lucy whispered to Patrick, "We will always remember this adventure, won't we?" Patrick smiled, his eyes shining with determination. "Yes, Mom, and we will always remember that together we can overcome anything." Lucy kissed her son's forehead, feeling a deep peace. "Good night, my love. Sleep well. Tomorrow is a new day." And so, mother and son fell asleep, knowing that no matter what the future brought, they would be ready to face together with courage and love. The first rays of morning sunlight illuminated Patrick's bedroom window, and Lucy, when she awoke, felt enveloped by a comforting warmth. The house was quiet, a silence that contrasted with the hustle and bustle of the previous days. She stood up, looked at her still sleeping son and smiled. This was a new beginning, but there were shadows of the past that needed to be faced. As she prepared breakfast, Lucy reflected on everything that had happened. The experience in the forest had been a test of his resilience and courage. She knew that despite having found Patrick, there were unresolved issues that needed attention, especially regarding the safety of children at school. When Patrick woke up, he came downstairs with a sleepy smile. "Good morning, Mom." "Good morning, dear. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, like a stone. I dreamed we were on an adventure, but this time, we were together from the beginning." Lucy smiled, pouring pancakes to him. "Maybe we can plan a real adventure, just the two of us. Something safer, of course." Patrick agreed excitedly. "That would be amazing." After breakfast, Lucy decided it was time to take on the school and make sure steps were taken so that nothing like this happened again. She dressed quickly, encouraging Patrick to prepare as well. On the way to school, Patrick held Lucy's hand tightly. He was nervous, and she could feel it. "Everything will be fine, son. Let's talk to Mr. Randall and the director. We need to make sure everyone stays safe." Arriving at the school, they were greeted by the principal, Mr. Thompson, and Mr. Randall. Both seemed apprehensive, but also determined to resolve the situation. "Lucy, Patrick, it's nice to see you well," Mr. Thompson said. "We would like to hear what happened and discuss the measures we are going to take." Lucy told all the details, from the moment she received the phone call to her reunion with Patrick. As he spoke, he could see the concern on the faces of Mr. Randall and Mr. Thompson. "We need to review our safety procedures immediately," said Mr. Thompson. "We will implement more rigorous training for teachers and establish a more efficient communication system during excursions." Mr. Randall, visibly affected, added, "I take full responsibility for what happened. I will never again let a child get lost under my supervision." Lucy felt a weight leave her shoulders. Knowing that the school was taking the children's safety seriously was reassuring. "Thank you. It means a lot to me and all the other families." Upon leaving school, Lucy and Patrick felt relieved. There was a sense of renewed hope, but Lucy knew there was still something more to be resolved. The figure of John Carter, the man who had helped them in the woods, still hovered in her mind. Who was he really? Why had he chosen to live in isolation? Determined to find out more, Lucy headed to the local library. The librarian, a lady named Mary, greeted her warmly. "Lucy, what a pleasant surprise. What can I help with today?" "Hi, Mary. I need information about a man named John Carter. He lives in the forest near the Ouachita Mountains." Mary arched an eyebrow. "John Carter, you say? This name is known here. Years ago, he was an ordinary man, with a family and a life in the city. Then something happened, and he isolated himself." "Do you know what happened?" asked Lucy, curious. Mary sighed, looking around before continuing. "John's wife and son died in a tragic car accident. He never recovered. After that, he moved into the woods and is rarely seen." Lucy felt a lump in her throat. Now, John's kindness made even more sense. He understood the pain of losing someone he loved. "Thank you, Mary. That helps a lot." As she returned home, Lucy thought about John and her own journey. There was something else she needed to do. He decided that the next day he would return to the woods to personally thank John for his help and perhaps offer some form of support. The next morning, after dropping Patrick off at school, Lucy grabbed a basket of supplies and set off into the woods. The walk to John's cabin was easier this time, with daylight guiding his way. When he arrived, he knocked on the door. feeling a mixture of nervousness and gratitude. The door opened slowly, and John appeared, looking surprised but glad to see it. "Lucy, what brings you here?" "I wanted to thank you, John. You saved my son's life and mine. I brought some supplies as a form of gratitude." John smiled, a glint of emotion in his eyes. "I didn't need to, but thank you. Come in, please." They sat down at John's small table, and Lucy could see the simplicity but also the peace of the place. "I heard about your family, John. I'm sorry for your loss." John slowly agreed. "It was difficult, but the forest brought me peace. Helping you guys made me feel useful again. You were a real hero to us, John. If you need anything, we're here to help." John looked at Lucy, gratitude clear on his face. "Thank you, Lucy. Knowing that you are well is enough." As they talked, Lucy realized that this meeting wasn't just about thanking John. It was about creating a connection, a support network that went beyond the immediate circumstances. As she left the cabin, she felt renewed, knowing that just as John had helped them, she could also give back in some way. Upon returning home, Lucy reflected on the lessons of the last few days. The strength of love, the importance of community, and the courage to face challenges were themes that now shaped his life. And with those lessons, she knew she was ready for whatever the future brings. Time passed quickly after the visit to John's cabin. Lucy and Patrick resumed their routines, but the emotional scars from recent adventures were still fresh. Lucy felt that, despite everything, there was a new strength within her. She knew she needed to use this strength to improve Patrick's life and her own. One morning, while they were having breakfast, Patrick mentioned something that made Lucy stop chewing her cereal. "Mom, I wanted to see Mr. John again. He told me that he knew many secrets of the forest and that he could teach me." Lucy looked at her son, seeing the determination in his eyes. "Do you think you're ready to go back there?" "Yes, and I think you'd like to learn from him too. In addition, he is alone. It must be good for him to have company." Lucy smiled. Patrick was right. John needed friends as much as they needed him. "That's okay. We can visit him this weekend." On Friday, after work and school, Lucy and Patrick began packing a backpack with supplies for the visit to John. They brought food, some tools, and even books, hoping he would enjoy the company and gifts. When they arrived at John's cabin, the man greeted them with a genuine smile. "Nice to see you again." "We've brought you some stuff, John," Lucy said, handing over the backpack. "We hope you enjoy it." John opened his backpack and his eyes lit up. "That's very kind of you. I really appreciate it." As Lucy and Patrick spent the day with John, they learned more about their life in the woods. He took them to see hidden places that only someone with deep knowledge of the area could find. Small waterfalls, secret clearings, and even an ancient tree that John says was more than 200 years old. "This tree has seen a lot of things," John said, stroking the sturdy trunk. "It's a symbol of endurance and wisdom." Patrick was fascinated, his eyes shining with each new discovery. Lucy, on the other hand, felt a deeper connection to nature and to John. It was as if the pieces of the puzzle of his life were finally falling into place. At the end of the day, as the sun set, they sat around a campfire, sharing stories and laughter. John told more about his family, and Lucy shared her own experiences. It was a night of healing for everyone. "John, have you ever thought about going back to town?" asked Lucy suddenly. John looked at the fire, thoughtful. "Sometimes I think about it, but the forest has been my refuge for so long that I don't know if I would be able to readapt." "You'll always have a place with us if you decide to come back," Lucy said, sincerely. "Patrick and I consider you part of our family now." John smiled, visibly moved. "Thank you, Lucy. It means a lot to me." As the night wore on, Patrick fell asleep by the campfire. Lucy and John continued talking, their soft voices mingling with the crackling of the flames. "Lucy, have you ever thought about the future?" asked John, breaking the silence. "Yes, but the future is uncertain. I want to give Patrick a good and safe life, but I also want to find a purpose for myself. The experience in the forest changed me. I understand, and I think this change is good. You're stronger than you think, Lucy." She smiled, feeling comforted by John's words. "Thank you. What about you, John? What do you see for your future?" "I don't know for sure, but I think with friends like you, anything is possible. The next morning, before they said goodbye, John handed Lucy a small object wrapped in cloth. "I want you to have that." Lucy opened the cloth and found a hand-carved wooden pendant depicting a tree with deep roots and branches that stretched to the sky. "It's beautiful, John. Thanks. I'll take good care of him. It is a symbol of strength and resilience. Something you already have, but it never hurts to remember." With hearts full of gratitude, Lucy and Patrick said goodbye to John, promising to return soon. As they walked back down the trail, Lucy felt new hope sprout within her. When they arrived home, Lucy hung the pendant in a prominent place, as a constant reminder of her strength and the deep connections she had made. She knew that no matter what challenges the future brought, she was ready to face them. The days passed, and Lucy decided it was time to take action to ensure that Patrick's school made significant changes to its safety policies. She organized a meeting with other parents and the school administration, determined to turn their concerns into concrete actions. During the meeting, Lucy spoke passionately about the importance of safety and communication. "We can't let what happened to Patrick be repeated. We need change now." The other parents agreed, and together, they pressured the school to implement new safety measures. With the support of the community, significant changes were made, and a new sense of security took hold of the school. As time went on, Lucy felt that her life was finally getting back on track. She had braved danger, made new friends, and secured a safer future for Patrick. And while the path ahead was still uncertain, she knew she was ready for any challenge. But life has a way of surprising, and Lucy knew that new adventures and challenges were yet to come. She was ready to face them, with courage, resilience, and the support of those she loved. The weeks passed after John's cabin visit, and Lucy and Patrick's lives began to take on a new normal. Patrick was more confident, showing a growing interest in nature and wildlife. Lucy, for her part, felt stronger and more determined to protect her family. One night, while going through some work papers in the kitchen, Lucy noticed something strange. There was an unaddressed letter on the table, something she didn't remember seeing before. She carefully opened the envelope and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. "Lucy, I need your help. Something is wrong in the forest. Please come and see me. John." Lucy felt a chill down her spine. Something must have been very wrong for John to ask for help in this way. She looked at her watch. It was already past 10 at night. Taking a deep breath, she decided she couldn't wait until dawn. "Patrick, I need you to stay at home. I'm going to see John and I'll be back soon," Lucy said, trying not to show her concern. Patrick, noticing the tension in his mother's voice, asked, "Is everything okay, Mom?" "Everything will be fine. Just stay safe and lock the door after I leave." With a flashlight and a backpack with basic supplies, Lucy set out into the woods. The darkness was oppressive, but the full moon provided a little light, guiding his steps. The familiar path to John's cabin seemed darker than ever. As she moved forward, Lucy felt that she was being watched. The forest, which had once offered him a sense of peace, now seemed full of whispers and shadows. Suddenly, a crack of branches made her freeze. She turned the lantern in the direction of the sound, but saw nothing but silent trees. "Calm down, Lucy," she muttered to herself. "You can do it." When she arrived at John's cabin, she found the door ajar. "John," she called, her voice echoing in the darkness. With no answer, she entered cautiously. The hut was empty, but there were signs of a struggle. Overturned furniture, scattered papers, and an acrid smell of smoke in the air. Lucy felt a lump in her throat. Where was John? Suddenly, she heard a faint moan coming from a dark corner of the cabin. She ran there and found John, injured and with a deep cut on his arm. "John, what happened?" she asked, helping him to sit down. Someone came here looking for something," he said with difficulty. "They said there was something valuable in the forest, something I hid. You're safe now. I'll take care of you," Lucy said, picking up her first aid kit. As he cleaned and bandaged the cut, John explained what he knew. "I heard of a legend about a treasure hidden in the woods," John began, his voice faint. "I never believed it, but it seems that someone does." "Who did this to you?" asked Lucy, finishing the bandage. "I don't know. They were two men, hooded. They said they would come back if they didn't find what they were looking for." Lucy felt a surge of anger. We can't let them come back. We need to do something. John agreed. But we need to be careful. They are dangerous. Lucy helped John up, and together they began to plan a way to deal with the situation. They decided that the best option was to return to the city and notify the police. John was reluctant to leave his cabin, but Lucy insisted that their safety was a priority. As they walked back through the forest, the darkness seemed even more threatening. Every sound, every shadow, made Lucy feel more alert. She knew that these men might be watching, waiting for the right opportunity to strike again. They arrived in the city shortly before dawn and went straight to the police station. The officer on duty listened carefully to John's story, promising to send a team to investigate the area. As they waited, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that something much bigger was at stake. That night, back home, Lucy couldn't sleep. She felt that there was something more in the forest, something that these men were desperate to find. What if John was right about the treasure legend? Days later, the police found signs that someone had really been looking for something in the woods. Excavations, marked trees, and even a small abandoned campsite. The investigation was ongoing, but Lucy knew she needed to do more. Determined to protect her family and her new friend, Lucy began researching the legend of the forest treasure. She scoured old books, spoke with locals, and gathered any information she could find. One night, while reviewing his notes, Patrick came into the room. "Mom, what's going on? You've been so worried lately." Lucy sighed, deciding it was time to tell her son the truth. "Patrick, there's something you need to know. The forest may have an ancient secret, something that dangerous people are looking for. And we need to find out what it is to protect us." Patrick looked at his mother seriously. "What can we do?" "We will continue to investigate. And we need to be vigilant. We can't let these people find what they're looking for." With the support of Patrick and John, Lucy was determined to unravel the mystery of the forest. They formed a team, exploring every clue, every hint, hoping to find answers. Meanwhile, the threat of those hooded men hung over them, like a constant shadow. But Lucy knew that together, they were stronger. And regardless of the challenges they faced, she was determined to protect her family and friends. The path ahead was uncertain, full of dangers and mysteries. But Lucy was ready. With courage, resilience, and determination, she would face any challenge to ensure the safety of everyone she loved. Dawn brought a new day, but unrest still hung over Lucy's house. After the revelation the night before, the atmosphere was charged with expectation and tension. Lucy, Patrick, and John knew they needed to act quickly to unravel the mystery of the forest before the hooded men returned. John, still recovering from his injuries, helped as much as he could. He spent hours talking to the town's oldest residents, trying to find out more about the treasure legend. Meanwhile, Lucy and Patrick continued to rummage through books and historical records at the local library. One afternoon, Lucy found something interesting. It was an old diary, its pages yellowed by time, hidden on a dusty shelf. She opened it carefully, smelling the characteristic smell of old paper. The notes were from an explorer named Edward Blackburn, dating back more than a century. "Blackburn," Lucy murmured, puzzled. "Maybe he holds the key to this mystery." She avidly read the diary entries. Blackburn talked about his expeditions through the forest, mentioning an ancient map that indicated the location of a hidden treasure. He described the site in detail: a large wolf-shaped rock and an ancient oak tree marked with a strange symbol. "Patrick, come here," Lucy called, excitement building in her voice. "I think I found something." Patrick approached, curious. "What is this?" "An explorer's diary. It talks about a hidden treasure in the forest. We need to find this rock in the shape of a wolf and the oak tree with the symbol." Patrick was excited. "Let's tell John. It can help us locate those points." John listened intently as Lucy read the diary passages. "I've heard of this wolf-shaped rock," he said, "but I never knew about the marked oak. That could be the clue we need." They decided to explore the forest the next day, armed with the diary and a renewed determination. Before leaving, Lucy made sure everyone was well prepared. Patrick was equipped with a backpack full of supplies, and John, despite his injuries, insisted on accompanying them. The forest seemed more mysterious than ever, its shadows dancing in the wind. The trio moved forward cautiously, following the diary's descriptions. After a few hours of walking, they found the rock in the shape of a wolf, exactly as described. "We're on the right track," John said, examining the rock. "Now we need to find the oak tree with the symbol." They headed northwest, as indicated by the diary. The vegetation has become denser, making the walk more difficult. Suddenly, Patrick stopped, pointing to a large tree ahead. "Look there." He ran up to the tree and, with a triumphant smile, showed the symbol engraved on the trunk, a circle with a diagonal line. "It's the oak," Lucy said emotionally. "We need to look around." John, with years of experience in the forest, began to examine the soil around the tree. He found an area where the earth seemed to be freshly disturbed. "Here," he said, beginning to dig with a shovel he had brought. After a few minutes of digging, they found a small wooden box, sealed with a rusty metal lock. Lucy felt her heart race. "Open," he said, his voice trembling with anticipation. John used a tool to open the latch. With a creak, the box opened, revealing an old scroll and a small cloth bag. Lucy unfolded the scroll carefully. It was a map, more detailed than the one described in the diary, showing the exact location of the treasure. "We're close," John said, looking at the map. "We will follow this path." They continued the walk, guided by the newly discovered map. The path led them to a hidden clearing, surrounded by tall, silent trees. In the center of the clearing, a large, flat stone lay on the ground, covered with moss and leaves. "It's here," Lucy said, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. "The treasure must be buried under this stone." John and Patrick began to remove the vegetation and dirt on the rock, while Lucy looked on anxiously. After an hour of hard work, they managed to displace the stone, revealing a cavity below. Inside the cavity, there was an ancient chest, adorned with intricate designs and symbols. Lucy knelt down, feeling the emotion take over. "Finally," he whispered, touching the chest reverently. With the help of John and Patrick, she opened the trunk. Inside, there were ancient jewelry, gold coins, and priceless artifacts. But at the bottom of the trunk, something caught Lucy's eye, a leather-bound notebook similar to Blackburn's diary. She opened the notebook, finding more notes, this time from a man named Richard Blackburn, possibly a descendant of the original explorer. The notes spoke of an even greater secret, something that could change everyone's fate. Lucy looked at John and Patrick, her eyes shining with determination. "This isn't just about a treasure," she said. "It's about a legacy, and we need to find out what that means." With the notebook in hand and the treasure at their feet, the trio knew they were only at the beginning of a much larger journey. The forest still held many secrets, and they were determined to unravel them, facing any danger that came their way. With the treasure at their feet and Richard Blackburn's notebook in their hands, Lucy, Patrick, and John looked at each other, aware that they had only scratched the surface of the mystery that the forest held. The trunk was full of riches, but the real treasure seemed to be in the aged pages of the notebook. Richard Blackburn had left clues that could unlock much deeper secrets. Back in the safety of the house, they gathered around the kitchen table, illuminated by the soft light of the lantern. Lucy opened the notebook carefully, feeling the delicacy of the worn pages. Richard Blackburn had meticulous handwriting, each word chosen with precision. She began to read aloud. July, 1892. The legacy of the Blackburn family lies not only in the riches we accumulate, but in the secret we protect. The map I left leads to the physical treasure, but there is something more valuable hidden in the forest. An artifact of incalculable power, capable of changing the course of history. It must be guarded at all costs. Lucy paused, taking in the meaning of the words. An artifact of untold power? I wonder what he meant by that. John scratched his beard thoughtfully. It could be anything, something that hooded men are after. We need to keep reading. Lucy agreed, returning to the notebook. The following notes told of a secret cave, protected by traps and riddles, designed to keep the artifact safe and out of the wrong hands. Richard described in detail a complex mechanism that could only be disabled by someone with specific knowledge. That sounds dangerous, Patrick said, with a mixture of fear and excitement in his eyes. But also very important. Exactly, Lucy replied. And that's why we have to find this cave before the hooded men do. In the days that followed, they dedicated themselves to deciphering the riddles left behind by Richard. The clues led to specific locations in the forest, where they found marks and symbols that confirmed they were on the right path. Each discovery brought them closer to the secret cave. One night, while studying the notebook, Lucy came across a passage that seemed crucial. For those seeking the artifact, they must first go through the Guardian's Gate. A 1,000-year-old tree marks the entrance. Her roots hide the key to the secret she holds. But be careful, because the Guardian does not allow passage easily. Guardian's Gate? John raised his eyebrows. This sounds like an ancient legend, but if Richard was right, it could be the key to everything. The next morning, they left early, following the instructions in the notebook. The search for the ancient tree led them to a part of the forest that few dared to explore. The trees were imposing, their crowns closed, creating a natural roof that blocked sunlight. Finally, they found the tree. Its roots were thick and spread across the ground, like ancient fingers holding long-forgotten secrets. Lucy knelt down, examining the roots carefully. She found a symbol carved into the wood, a circle with a diagonal line, just like the one in Edward's diary. "It's here," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Let's look for the key." With patience and determination, they began digging around the roots. Patrick, with his small, nimble hands, found a strangely smooth stone, different from the others. He pulled it away, revealing a cavity. Inside, there was an ancient key, intricately decorated with runes. "The key to the secret," John murmured. "We are close." With the key in hand, they headed towards the place indicated on the map. The cave was hidden behind a waterfall, its waters icy and crystal clear. Getting in was a challenge, but the determination of Lucy, John, and Patrick guided them. Inside, they found a complex mechanism, as described by Richard. The wrench fit perfectly, activating a series of gears. The walls of the cave moved, revealing a secret passageway. At the end of the dark corridor, there was a room lit by natural crystals. In the center, on a stone pedestal, was the artifact, an object of stunning beauty, radiating a soft, pulsating light. "That's it," whispered Lucy, amazed. "The artifact Richard mentioned." But before they could get closer, they heard voices echoing through the cave. The hooded men stood nearby, determined to take the artifact for themselves. Lucy knew she needed to act fast. She exchanged glances with John and Patrick, and together they prepared to defend the Blackburn legacy. The ensuing battle was intense. The hooded men were well-trained and determined, but the courage and determination of Lucy and her allies were unwavering. Using the cave to their advantage, they were able to deflect the attacks and protect the artifact. John, with his experience in the forest, guided them through secret passages, while Patrick, with his agility, helped them escape traps. Finally, Lucy found herself face to face with the leader of the hooded men. He was tall and imposing, his eyes shining with a cold fury. "Hand over the artifact," he growled. "You have no idea what's at stake." "I know exactly what's at stake," Lucy replied firmly, "and I'm not going to let you get your hands on it." With a swift movement, she grabbed the artifact and, using all her knowledge of Richard's riddles, activated a defense mechanism in the cave. The walls began to shake, and the passage began to close. Lucy, John, and Patrick ran for the exit, leaving the hooded men trapped inside. When they finally emerged from the cave, panting and dirty, the sunlight seemed brighter and warmer. They had succeeded. The artifact was safe, and the Blackburn legacy was protected. Lucy looked at John and Patrick, a smile of gratitude and pride spreading across her face. "We did it," she said, her voice breaking. "Together, we can do it." With the artifact in hand, they knew they had a new mission: to understand its true power and ensure that it was used for good. The forest still held many secrets, but Lucy, Patrick, and John were ready to face them, knowing that together they were invincible. The sun shone brightly in the sky, illuminating the clearing where Lucy, Patrick, and John were gathered. Each, wrapped in an antique linen cloth, shielded from the elements and prying eyes. The discovery had been exciting, But the group knew that the real journey was yet to come. Back in the house, they sat around the kitchen table, where Richard Blackburn's notebook was still open. The pages were filled with detailed notes about the artifact and its possible implications. Lucy read aloud. The artifact is a key to an ancient power, a force that can be used for both good and evil. Its energy is capable of healing, protecting, and strengthening. But in the wrong hands, it can cause destruction and chaos. Only those with a pure heart and a clear mind can control their true potential. Lucy looked at Patrick and John, their faces reflecting the same mixture of fascination and apprehension that she felt. We need to fully understand what we are dealing with here. We cannot let this power fall into the wrong hands. John nodded, his eyes fixed on the artifact. We have to find someone who can help us decipher these ancient texts and understand the true purpose of the artifact. Someone with knowledge in ancient history and archaeology. Patrick, who had been quiet until then, was excited by an idea. What if we go to the neighboring city? I heard that the university there has a renowned history department. Maybe we can find an expert who can help us. Lucy smiled at her son, proud of her initiative. Good idea, Patrick. Let's get ready and leave tomorrow morning. The trip to the neighboring city was quiet, but the tension in the air was palpable. Lucy was eager to find someone who could shed light on the artifact. As Patrick stared out the car window, his thoughts filled with curiosity and excitement. John, driving with a serious expression, was alert to any sign of danger. Upon arriving at the university, they were greeted by the professor of history, Dr. Thomas Green, a middle-aged man with discerning eyes and a friendly disposition. After hearing Lucy's story, he was visibly intrigued. An ancient artifact with such power. This is fascinating and troubling at the same time. Let's go to my office, where we can examine this more carefully. In Dr. Green's office, filled with old books and historical artifacts, Lucy carefully unwrapped the object. The professor adjusted his glasses and began to inspect him meticulously, muttering to himself as he jotted down his observations. "That's amazing," he said finally. "This artifact appears to be a combination of several ancient cultures. The inscriptions are a mixture of Celtic, Egyptian, and even Mesoamerican symbols. This suggests that it was created by an advanced civilization, or perhaps it has been passed down through several hands over the centuries." Patrick, unable to contain his curiosity, asked, "But what exactly does he do?" Dr. Green looked at the boy with a smile. "I'm still not sure, but the inscriptions speak of a pure heart and true intention. I believe that the artifact responds to the energy and feelings of those who hold it. It can be a powerful tool for healing and protecting, but it can also be dangerous if used with evil intentions." Lucy felt a chill down her spine. "So we need to make sure that it is protected. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands." "I wholeheartedly agree," Dr. Green said. "I will need more time to fully decipher the inscriptions and understand how they work. Can you stay in the city for a few days while I work on it?" Lucy agreed, feeling a mixture of relief and anxiety. "Yes, we can. We'll find a place to stay and come back in a few days." As they prepared to leave, Dr. Green called them back. "One more thing. If you notice any signs of danger, don't hesitate to call me. This is very important." Lucy thanked her and left with Patrick and John. They found a small inn to spend the night, and time seemed to drag on as they waited for news of Dr. Green. Patrick, always curious, spent his time exploring the city, while John kept a watchful eye, always alert to any threat. 3 days later, Lucy's phone rang. It was Dr. Green. "I have good news and bad news. I found something about the artifact that you need to see immediately." Back in the professor's office, Dr. Green was agitated. "I discovered that the artifact is linked to an ancient prophecy. It says that whoever controls the artifact can alter the fate of the world. But it also mentions a guardian of darkness, someone who will seek to use the artifact for their own dark ends." Lucy felt her heart race. "Do you think the hooded men are these guardians of darkness?" "It's very likely," replied Dr. Green, "and they won't stop until they get what they want. We need to take immediate action to protect the artifact." As they discussed the next step, a shadow passed through the office window. John, ever watchful, stood up suddenly. "We are being watched." Dr. Green looked out, his expression grave. "We need to get out of here now." I'll take you to a safe place." With the artifact well guarded, they followed Dr. Green to a safe location at the university, an underground bunker used to store valuable and dangerous items. There, as they bolstered defenses and strategized, they knew the final battle was approaching. Lucy, with renewed determination, looked at Patrick and John. "We managed to get here together. We will protect this artifact and ensure that it does not fall into the wrong hands." Patrick agreed, his courage evident. "We are ready, Mom. We will do whatever it takes." And so, with the fate of the artifact and perhaps the world in their hands, they prepared for the final fight against the dark forces that were stalking them. The decisive battle was about to begin, and they were determined to win. The underground bunker was plunged into palpable tension. The small room, filled with antique shelves and historical items, now served as the final battleground between Lucy, Patrick, John, Dr. Green, and the Guardians of Darkness. The artifact was carefully placed on a sturdy table, surrounded by candles and protective symbols. Dr. Green, his face marked by worry, adjusted the last details of the magical defenses. "We need to buy time until we figure out how to use the device against them. He is our only chance." John, with his ever-vigilant posture, checked his improvised weapons. "They are coming. I can feel it." Patrick, who had matured a lot in the last few weeks, looked at his mother with determination. "We can do that, Mom. We're in this together." Lucy, feeling a mixture of fear and courage, held her son's hand. "We will protect this artifact and ensure that it does not fall into the wrong hands. We are ready." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the bunker corridor, causing everyone to turn in the direction of the sound. The Guardians of Darkness had found their way to them. Hooded men, eyes shining with evil, began to enter the room. "Hand over the artifact, and we will spare your lives," one growled, his voice charged with menace. Lucy stepped forward, her eyes burning with determination. "Never. This power does not belong to you." The battle began with a bang. John faced the Guardians with skill, using every object within his reach as a weapon. Patrick, using his wits and agility, avoided the attacks, helping Dr. Green protect the artifact. Lucy, with renewed strength, fought alongside them, determined to protect her son and the Blackburn legacy. As the fight intensified, Lucy noticed something strange about the artifact. The inscriptions glowed with a pulsating light, responding to the energy around them. She ran to him, ignoring the screams and sounds of battle. "Patrick, come here," she shouted, her heart pounding. Patrick ran to his mother, his eyes wide. "What's wrong, Mom?" "I think the artifact is trying to tell us something. We need to join forces to activate it." Dr. Green, hearing the conversation, quickly approached. "She's right. All of you, get your hands on the artifact and focus on your purest and truest desires." John, still struggling, managed to get to them and get his hand on the artifact. Lucy, Patrick, and Dr. Green did the same, closing their eyes and focusing on their purest intentions. The room was filled with a bright light, and the Guardians of Darkness retreated, blinded by the intense glow. The energy of the artifact grew, and a powerful force spread across the room, enveloping the Guardians. They screamed, their forms beginning to disintegrate before everyone's eyes. The light continued to grow until it finally exploded into a wave of energy, purifying the environment and destroying any trace of evil. When the light dimmed, the room was silent. The Guardians were gone, leaving only the heroes exhausted and gasping for breath. The artifact, now inert, had served its purpose. Lucy looked at Patrick, tears of relief streaming down her face. "We did it, son. We did it." Patrick smiled, hugging his mother tightly. "Yes, Mom, we did it." Dr. Green, with a tired smile, observed the artifact. His power was used for good, just as it should be. John, still reeling from the fight, put his hand on Lucy's shoulder. "You were amazing. We saved the world today." Lucy, with a heart full of gratitude, looked at the friends around her. "We saved, yes, and we did it together." The following days were for recovery and reflection. The artifact was taken to a safe place, where it could be studied and protected against future dangers. Lucy, Patrick, and John returned home, where they were finally able to rest in peace. That night, as Lucy and Patrick sat on the porch, staring at the stars, Patrick broke the silence. "Do you think everything will go back to normal now?" Lucy smiled, hugging her son. "Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think it will be better. We went through something incredible, and it made us stronger." Patrick looked up at the sky, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I think you're right, Mom. We are stronger, and we are together." Lucy kissed Patrick's forehead, feeling calmer than she had in weeks. "Yes, we are, and that's all that matters." And so, under the starry sky, mother and son knew that, no matter what challenges arose, they would always face everything together, with courage, love, and the certainty that nothing could break the bond they shared. Let us know what you think of this story and share this story with your friends. It might brighten their day and inspire them. See you in the next exciting story.